Kia ora tātou, he uri ahau no Ngāti Raukawa ki te tonga, no Ngaiterangi, no Rangitāne hoki. Ko Ngāti Wahine Grey tōku tūpuna whaia, ko Rongonui Penehira tōku tūpuna tāne, ko Mera Penehira tōku ingoa. So I'm an offspring of Ngāti Raukawa. Part of being an offspring of Ngāti Raukawa means understanding what Raukawa is. A well-known story, but perhaps not known to all, that I could share at this time is the story of how Raukawa was named. So Raukawa is the offspring of Tūrongo and Mahinarangi, named from the scent of the Raukawa plant that Mahinarangi wore throughout her courtship with Tūrongo. So as an iwi, we have this legacy, I guess, of aroha, this legacy of romance, this legacy of beautiful scent that comes from our whenua, that comes from our tupu. And so as a wahine o Ngāti Raukawa, that is something that I carry with me, I guess, and that I understand as quite a beautiful part of who we are as an iwi.
I'm one of 4 children and grew up in Te Kuiti, but from Otaki. Mother of 1 daughter. And also I'm on the board of Te Kura Kaupapa Māori o Hoanei Waititi Marae, which is the kura that my daughter attends and the first Kura Kaupapa Māori of Aotearoa. So that's a really privileged position to be in. I do recall other takataapui in our community, not people that I knew, and not that I was aware of them as takataapui. I have a vivid memory of attending tangihanga alongside my mother at a marae just outside of Te Kuiti, o Parure, and I noticed 2 women that looked different to most women that I know, I suppose, and I was probably about 10 or 11 years old. And I said to Mum, who are those 2? Do you know them? And she said, look away. We don't look at people like that, and we're not talking about them. I said, why? What have they done? No, just we're not talking about it. So that was kind of my first introduction to, I guess, women who look different, because at that point I didn't know that takataapui was a thing. I didn't know that lesbian was a thing. I didn't know that you could be gay. So I really didn't know why we were meant to look away. But I certainly was given the message that we don't talk about or look at people like that. I've become more aware of the discrimination that's around. I think I'm relatively fortunate that I haven't been exposed to a lot of that. It's either that or I ignore it. I'm pretty good at putting the blinkers on. I'm pretty good at self-protection, I think, and I do that in a very unconscious way. But I think as takataapui we have a responsibility to be aware of how our status, if you like, impacts on us all in different ways. And I'm very, very aware that many people suffer discrimination, have done in the past and continue to do so. But not something I've suffered a lot of. First and foremost, I think of myself as, he wahine Māori o Ngāti Raukawa. Koina tōku ake āhuatanga. And that's, I guess I don't separate my sexuality aside from my wahine Māoritanga, my mana Māoritanga, those kinds of things. So that said, very clearly, and I don't think there's anybody that knows me that doesn't know that I'm a lesbian, but it's just not at the forefront of how I describe myself. So I sit very firmly as a Māori woman, as a woman of Raukawa, as a woman of Rangitaane, as a woman of Ngaiterangi, as a mother, as a daughter, as a sister, as all of those other things, and my sexuality is a part of that. As a woman who wears moko kauwai, very much a part of my how I identify myself is in relation to my tūpuna, in particular my tūpuna wahine,
and thinking at this time about rangi tōpiora, whose kauai, I wear basically in its contemporary form. And so, yeah, very proud of that and very interested in and active in exploring more about women like rangi tōpiora, women that I'm from, and what their stories are and what their journeys have been and how those have contributed to who I am. Things that keep me well, probably first and foremost whānau in particular, being a mother and having a daughter who at this time is 14 years of age, and who, as a mother and daughter, we have explored and been active in a journey of reo reclamation. So her first reo is te reo Māori, and it's probably raising a daughter in te reo Māori is probably the proudest thing that I've ever done. And to do that in the context of our community, our whānau, and in the context of te kura kaupapa Māori o Hwane Waititi as takataapui is significant, and I think it contributes to that kaupapa of reo reclamation in quite a specific way, because I think if we think about whānau well-being as Māori, for me, at the centre of that is our reo. So a well whānau is a reo-speaking whānau. And to model that, be active in that in a whānau takataapui, shows a level of wellness that we share with all whānau Māori, and I think that's really important. It's a contribution that kura makes to us and that we reciprocate as well. That's a huge part of our well-being, to be able to speak our language, to be able to share that with my nieces and nephews when I can, to see that sparks others in our whānau to doing similar things, and to know that gives us both access to a whole nother realm of tools for our well-being, tools such as karanga, tools such as karakia, tools such as waiata, haka, all of those things that weren't an active part of me growing up, but just a very, very normal part of my daughter's life. And I love that. Raising children as, their first language is Māori is very much an activist kind of a thing to do. It was planned. I have worked in the past with a group of Māori women in Taranaki, and we were very committed to, 1, bearing children, and 2, raising them in te reo Māori. That was our biggest act of language reclamation and of resistance of our colonisation, really, that we could do. And it was something that we could do on a day-to-day basis. And I think it's really important to have that kind of political analysis of what we're doing day in and day out. I, as a single parent, from time to time, have not been able to be as active in, protests and writing and all the different things that we do, the other acts of resistance. And I do recall a number of years ago someone saying to me, "Gosh, you're not really doing anything these days, are you? I haven't seen you on the street. I haven't seen you writing. I haven't seen you contributing to this, that, and the other thing." And I said, "Not doing much? I take my daughter to kura kaupapa Māori every single day of her life. I speak Māori from the time we wake up to the time we sleep. I'm doing a hell of a lot." And just knowing the power of that level of resistance and activism that is present in reclamation of te reo Māori. In terms of our and my engagement with health services over the years, I have a daughter with significant health needs, and that's meant that we've had considerable time in Starship Hospital and with GPs and the whole gamut, I guess, of health service provision. So she lives with 2 chronic health conditions. And I have to say the service that we get at Starship is amazing. But I also have to say that we've been in the position often of having to describe, explain, and not that we have, but sort of to justify our whānau. So at one point I went to the trouble of drawing up our whakapapa, or Tūti's family tree, if you like, that showed that she has 3 mothers actually, a birth mother and 2 other mothers. She also has a birth father, that she has 4 grandmothers, 2 of whom are in a relationship with each other, 2 of whom are in relationships with men, that she has takataapui siblings, and so our whānau is broad, and I'm not going to say is diverse because that otherises us. So if I'm to centre takataapui as whānau, we are, I think we're just an example of another takataapui whānau in all that we are. So we get various responses in hospital and with GPs and so on, and sometimes it's, well, so you're the mum, does that make you the grandmother? Those kinds of responses that are kind of awkward actually. And to describe, well, no, we're both mothers. Oh, but who's the real mother? So those kinds of questions that are really, quite frankly, offensive. My relationship as a wahine takataapui to my health and well-being, and for me a big part of that is the relationship as a wahine takataapui to tangaroa to hine moana. So I'm an ocean paddler, as is my daughter. I've raised her on and in the ocean, and it's something that we're both very, very connected to, and is an integral part of our staying well and staying healthy as a whānau. And so what that relationship means is understanding atua o te moana, understanding atua wahine, and understanding how we act as wahine Māori in our relationship with tangaroa, in our relationship with hine moana. And that's something that keeps us very well. It keeps us well in terms of our reo, it keeps us well in terms of how we interact with that part of our environment. And in learning tikanga Māori that are associated with how we are on the water, we also bring that onto our into our interactions on the land, on the whenua. So what we learn in terms of how to be with tangaroa, we transpose in terms of how to be with papatuanuku. So I think it's really important that rangatahi takataapui approach life in a way that we are meant to be here, we are accepted here, we are who we are, and to walk the streets and to live our life journeys in that kind of positive way. That said, there will be challenges, but we don't want to live our life looking for those challenges, because if we live our life like that, that's all we're going to see. My expression to rangatahi would be who you are, be free to be who you are. Don't wait for somebody else to set you free to be the takataapui that you are. Own it. It is your sovereign right to be takataapui.